And we are live. This is Tico Shred Red Pill Channel. I'm Baron Yam. I have the internal Sadist here with me, and this is Baron and Sadist, where we talk about, well, a lot of things. But today, we're going to talk about not giving a flying fuck, and also perception is reality. That's the smoother topic. We'll get into that one later.
Yeah. Apparently, I can't call myself say. Apparently, I can't use Sadist in a title on Twitch. Nice, lovely Twitch.
Oh my gosh, their censors are just crazy. It's a world full of censors, and it's all. The funny thing about Twitch, it's ironic that they have really powerful censors because they're supposed to be progressive.
Yeah, true.
Like they're supposed to be like one of the more progressive ones. They let all of the models, the Twitch thoughts, they let them all do whatever they want, and they never kind of strike them. Like they had to beg to get struck.
That's the problem with Twitch is. Problem with Twitch is, if you're a Twitch stock, you don't have to worry about it or worry about ever being in trouble.
Right, but if you're a Twitch streamer, as in like you're passionate about gaming, or maybe you just are really good at gaming. You don't even have to care about gaming, but the reality that so many people do makes it so that you can be a Twitch streamer.
True.
The only thing that's like negative about it is that you have to either not show your face, or if you show who you are and people don't like what they see, that can always work against you very negatively.
Yeah, definitely.
Like with Doctor Disrespect, he dresses very boldly. He's got that big mustache, he's got the big mullet, a huge perm, the big black sunglasses, the
Right.
huge hat. Everything is just so bold. It's like I get it. I get what he's trying to do, but most people, they would just look at it and find something to pick at it or something to be upset about.
True. That's typically how that works anyway. Like, that's the sad part. That's typically how all that stuff works when they go and pick at people and stuff like that. It's like, really, you couldn't come up with anything else to be mad about, so you had to fuck with me about this shit, really?
True.
And that's
But it's
typically what it
entertainment
is.
at the end of the day. It's just that entertainment should be easily accessible for everybody. The problem is that we literally have like a catering system, or like a pandering system in place to make entertainment seem like, ooh, if there's variety, I can select, or I think I'm missing the word, or I guess it's I can like subscribe to, or kind of like cater what I hear, what I listen to on a daily basis, which makes it kind of hard to make entertaining content because everybody's super picky nowadays. We all have like a refined taste, or a picker taste. Like we get to be picky.
True.
When I mean the truth is not picky. Like the videos that dropped today, the ones about the coronavirus and all that stuff. That stuff is not. You can't pick that stuff apart at all. It's just 100% true fact.
Yeah, very true.
And
And that's the sad part about it.
And then some people want to act like they don't have to acknowledge it, which is a ridiculous thing. Over here in Orange County, it's a completely it's weird because like it affects different places in different ways. So it's like here, people like small business and stuff didn't really experience that much of a business downtick, but it's like the mask thing was still prevalent, and everybody was still talking about the masks and how much of a problem they are. And then now that there's like more data out, it's funny how the discussion shifts, and people are like trying to wake up.
Yeah, you can only hope that people can actually wake up, because if they don't,
Right.
then it'll suck pretty much for the most part. And it already does suck as we speak right now. So it's like one of those things where it's like, God, wake up, people. And it's very sickening because like people are it's like they're just sleeping, and it's like they're okay with wanting to be asleep all the damn time. That's the thing that really bothers me, is like the fact that they just sleep through life, and everything, they just let everything go, and everything things seem to be okay for them. And it's like, well, I still have this. And the sad part about a lot of that stuff I've noticed is a lot of the people are very selfish. So when they actually do stuff or think a certain way, it's all about them, or it all revolves around them instead of the common man for the most part, which really sucks.
Right. And I've said this before. It's like sometimes people don't know, understand, like people in public, people you see, people who you meet, they don't understand how a person can miss like the details about something that they noticed. And it's kind of what
Hmm.
we have in this culture with like everybody being woke. They're like, well, what you didn't see in the movie was the guy hurting the girl, their girl doing this, the guy burning, but it's like, it's a movie, it's entertainment, it's art. Shouldn't art be public, and should it not cater to what you in your house, in your room, in whatever compartment you're held in? It shouldn't have to go in there and make it feel uncomfortable. It's like some buildings are made to be destroyed.
True story.
Like so, and if you get too comfortable in one position, you don't realize that, hey, it was a everybody's aware of this, but it's like I said, people would rather just let the go down with the whole structure rather than just like move on into something else.
Very true, which is sad
Hmm.
within itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I guess that's why I kind of just decide the best option is to just work as hard as I possibly can, because I don't know, man. I'm trying to get a Baron Yam statue erected in Orange County.
It'll probably by the time you get that done, it'll probably be considered racist. So
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
people marching and tearing down and shit.
A Blasian person statue. That's racist. That's
Yeah, I know, right?
racist. Oh man, it's just people crack me up because at the same time, at the same time, you gotta
What's up,
appreciate
Americas?
someone.
And true, very true, Americas, very true. And like what? WTC?
Hey, yeah, very true. Yeah, buildings. I don't want to say the whole thing,
That a
but
building? Yeah, that's
yeah,
a. Isn't that a? Is that a building model?
yeah, it is. I think it's a building model.
Okay.
Well, anyways, like the whole point of saying that is not to just be super like negative about the whole situation. It's just like a lot of people. It's just that the fact that there's a clear place for a lot of people to change, but it just seems like the way that things progress so slowly in terms of like America's ability to combat the spread, it seems like
Hmm.
people went with what was easier as a solution rather than picking up and trying something different. Like I guess it's just the cases that I can't case numbers that I can't really wrap my head around, and like how many people have actually got it and died from it. That when I really start considering it, makes it hard to stay silent. Like I can't help but tell people about things to consider when I'm out in public. Like just being like, wait, so are you buying this? What is your thoughts about it? And what a lot of people tell me is they're just waiting around for a vaccine. Like they're just waiting for a vaccine.
I believe it,
Yeah.
and that sucks within itself, especially when especially when the rates are very low comparative. I mean, the chance of you actually dying from it is lower than the chances you actually, or way lower than the chances of you actually living from it. And it's like, sorry, the rates of you dying from it, yeah, the rates of you dying from it is way low than the chance of you actually living from it. And the sad part about that, the recovery, nobody ever talks about the recovery rate, but everybody always talks about how many people got it and how many people died, but they don't talk about how many people actually recover from it, which is a problem because now you're
Yeah.
trying to
Seeing
really
those
scare
seeing
people.
those lab coats out there today in solidarity and positivity was like monumental to me, because I saw that like there's people out there that actually want to change things for the better and aren't just capitulating to the negativity that
Oh, yeah, definitely.
the media is feeding them. And it's funny because you see people, you make a joke with them out in public. It's great, it's great, it's great, because they're forever changed by that. There's like a mood change. And you know what? I was thinking about it when you said attention is the most valuable currency. I agree, but I think it's like emotion. emotion is just a little bit, it's like the same level of value as attention, because emotion can make people do more things than just like them paying attention to it.
True.
Which, like, if you think, like, break it down, it's like if somebody's look, you can be, attentive at your job, all right, but you don't have to be emotionally invested in your job. Um,
Very true.
this kind of this MGTOW thing, that's how I see it. It's like if and that's why I never agreed with MGTOW dictionary, because I always thought that if if you have to work in order to earn your way, that can't be, you can't see that as a negative thing. The moment you do, you start to perceive everything around you as negative. Kind of like how we see people start businesses and do it, and they do try to take a path, but uh, they never really quite paid attention, or had the right attitude going into it, and it kind of spirals out of control for them. In this situation, you see people like clinging to normalcy again, like you were saying earlier, kind of finding that thing that they know for sure, and kind of sticking to it, and not really wavering from what they do. Like they kind of if they start out anal retentive and things get bad, they just go even more harder into being anal retentive, just more harder. The
Yeah.
more organized, the better to them. And it's like they get confused when a person can't really think on that level of organization. But then you study interpersonal communications, you understand that people have different ways of thinking, like the Myers Briggs test.
For real.
People
Yeah.
have
True
like
story.
different thinking patterns and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. And since I'm kind of absent-minded, it's funny because when I talk to certain people, they'll be just trying to drop as much information on my head as possible. I'll just be like, yeah, and it's like they just regurgitate everything that they heard in the media for that day, or everything that they heard from their friend or something like that. And you're like, when are we gonna actually talk? Like you and me, when are we gonna actually talk?
Yeah.
And
Like nobody wants to talk. Everybody wants to push a narrative instead of actually
yeah,
trying to actually talk about things and make things actually a middle of the road type of thing. They're trying to actually push, this side's right,
right,
this side's right, and that side is wrong because this person's in charge of this side and this, that, and the other. And the sad part about that is,
hmm
at the end of the day,
exactly,
when they at the end of the day, when shit actually goes south, a lot of the damn people always end up doing the most goofiest, stupidest shit in the world when it comes down to it. And it's like, this is what we're doing now, really? This is what
yeah.
we're
It's
doing
the
now.
decision making skills that like, and I noticed here, especially specifically, like a lot of people are kind of like conservative, you would say, but they also they also it's not safe from like the new age thinking. Like the way of people kind of create words and do magic spells with them and stuff. It's like that. That still exists. It's still it's still very prominent. It doesn't matter you're liberal, conservative. That's just something that people do when they get in a high enough position. Is that's just because they got to, in order to maintain power over people who are asleep, you got to be kind of asleep yourself,
You
to be
definitely
honest.
do. Or you got to be ignorant or stupid or,
And it's like
blind, deaf, or
you limit
dumb,
yourself.
ignorant, stupid, or,
Exactly.
the
You
whole 9 yards for the most part. It's like,
Well, I'll limit myself to being stupid so I can stand to be around these people at the mixer. I'll pretend like I care about what so and so is saying about the politics of the situation in the part of the town, because that's what's best for me in my current situation. That's what things like people uh, uh, think is the upward mobility. You'd say to someone else, well, maybe if you told that person how you actually felt, there would be a solution. And I think it's kind of like they're 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 people like women have been allowed to uh, be an abuser. Uh, they're allowed to be kind of a they're allowed to be able to enjoy as much of the of like the manipulation, the time wasting, and everything. And it kind of like they've set up a system where they get to dictate what happens. So if there's a problem, then maybe it's your fault. Maybe the way that it's happening you should be open and express your feelings and be honest about like, to the other person and ask them how how you uh how does it or tell them how it makes you feel. And I think that sets you up for at the end of the day, it sets you up to capitulate more, to bend more, to act to it, to acquiesce more. And then you look back and you realize nothing that you had left, nothing that you had when you started it is there. It's all gone.
Yeah, very true. That's the
Yeah,
sad. That's the real. That's the sad. That's the sad, cold reality
yeah,
of.
exactly. I'm like a firm opponent of just maintaining your integrity, yourself, and your self worth, and above all other things. And like but at the same time, I'm still also open to learning something that I didn't know I was going to, or I didn't learning just for actually specifically just a way of thinking that I'm not familiar with. I'm more than open to someone sharing that with me, but um, like yeah, if there's no critique, if there's nothing afterward, it's just somebody pushing their narrative. That's not something I feel like I have to pay attention to or even remotely care about.
I agree 100% because it gets a bit ridiculous and redundant when people start doing shit like that, and they start making up a narrative or they start faking a narrative, and it's like, dude, like we're supposed to be a collective. We're supposed to be able to. We're not supposed to only hear one side of the story. That's the problem with hearing one side of the story is you get everybody fucked up. And when everybody gets fucked up, now you got to worry about everybody trying to make it back to the center or make it back. And now you got half the people back, or you got like a third of the people back, or one fourth
Yeah,
of the people back. And
spreading people out more,
yeah, it's
confusing,
like
adding
you're
more
trying to make
confusion.
make more confusion instead of actually trying to actually make it better, like make it better than what it needs to make it. You just need to make it better because it gets ridiculous after a while to the point where it gets a bit annoying and it gets very redundant and it starts to piss me off because I grew up in a neighborhood and I grew up in a culture where there's this side, and there's some shit that happened to happen in the middle. In America, it's like, well, this side's right, so don't listen to that side, and that side's right, so this side is right, so don't listen to that side. And it's like, if you're up the middle, then you're obviously the enemy to each side. It's like I don't have to pick a side. I can look for the truth in the middle, and that's typically what I
Not
do.
not
Because
buying.
like
I'm not buying any of it.
I'm not
I'm
buying
really
any of
not
this shit.
buying
Because like I
any
always
of the
say,
whack.
there's what you got to say, there's what this guy person got to say, and there's the shit that's pretty much what's probably the truth in the middle. Is typically my thoughts on a lot of the shit that people say, and it bothers me that people can get away with like merely portion a narrative against some shit that makes no fucking sense to me, like COVID virus or something like that, or
Yeah,
or
and because they
anything
believe
for
that
that matter.
it could, and
Or my
because
other
they
favorite
believe
one,
that.
my
Yeah,
other
yeah,
favorite one is the quote unquote
yeah.
peaceful protest. Like,
Okay, okay,
how is it?
yeah.
How is it peaceful when they're throwing firecrackers and explosives and bottles of piss and bottles of alcohol, Molotov cocktails, rocks, sticks, bricks, and shit at. Like that's not peaceful when they're breaking into stores, ripping down statues, and other
Well,
crazy shit like that.
the narrative is peaceful. Like when you're an ambassador of that of the LGBT BLM, all Black Lives Matter, everything on the left, Marxism. Anytime you're part of that, you're the ambassador for the movement. So you have to speak calmly and the only time that you would ever fight back is if you sense a traitor in your midst. These people that believe in free thought, believe in freedom of expression. So their method of delivery is very, very persuasive, seductive, even because they have to be in order to condone any of this like wild rioting behavior. And the way that the media doesn't do a good job of showing it at all, but these ambassadors of this like these quasi movements or anything, they are so good at selling their narrative. They probably think that that's all they need to do. Like there's no need to actually plan anything out because if I can convince enough people to stay asleep somehow, somewhere, way or another, this is going to work out favorably for me,
True.
myself. It's all obsession. It's all complete.
Self-serving, yeah.
Yeah, it's an identity crisis,
True. Very true.
and it's just stuff that I don't get. I don't. It's hard to even be honest because if you agree with something that on the one of the sides.
What's
You know,
up,
one of those
Rex? And
sides.
very true. That's very true, Rex. When it comes down to it, that's very true. COVID
It is. It
is a
is.
dot.
It totally
It
is.
is. It is definitely.
And the sad thing is, like Hegel is the creator of that, right? But he was actually doing something, as opposed to people who push the Hegelian dialectic nowadays, where you see it where they just say capitulate or don't capitulate.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's no room for authenticity. It's just you have to create this. You have to do this. And I noticed it more because what I was going to say when I butted in before was, it's like because they believe that narrative, you are bad at your job
Yeah.
or
That's kind of
something,
odd.
or because they believe that narrative, you are not a good ex family familial dynamic at home. So
Yeah.
you're being pushed out of every setting where you were comfortable in the first place,
Yeah. It's kind of
and
like when I was.
yeah. Go ahead.
It was kind of like what I was saying at the end of the video that I uploaded earlier. That the one doctor, the one doctor who he's actually a senator of Minnesota, and they're literally investigating him to take away his practice, his license to practice medicine, all because he asked simple questions as a senator about the COVID virus. Like they're investigating him to take away his license. His license is literally on the line right now, all because somebody wants to push a narrative and they want to take away his license instead of like actually listening to him as an actual senator. They want to take away his license as a doctor, basically, and harm him. Like so, they're literally trying to take away his way of life or
It,
his.
yeah,
Because the sad
his
part about that,
practice,
he might be
his
a
practice.
senator, but he's still a practicing doctor. So he actually goes and sees people in his office when he's not on Capitol Hill. And the
You
neat thing
know,
about that,
it's yeah, it's yeah. Go ahead.
and the neat thing about that is like he's an award winning doctor, and now all of a sudden now he ain't shit, and now you want to take away his license. Like that makes no sense to
Man,
me.
okay. So then what? We're just going to trust doctors that follow the model,
Yeah,
like the
basically that's what they want.
yeah.
And the neat thing about it is they'll try to say, well, obviously these doctors are being paid by this medication. Well, obviously these doctors that agree are being paid by somebody else. Like, think about that shit. Because here's my thing. Here's my problem with the whole entire thing. I work in microbiology.
Right, because
I
that's how
deal with
we
this
that's
shit.
how we that's how we solve the crisis, health medical crisis of the past. Is just all do the same practice, all use the same kit, all use the same everything.
Yeah,
There was no evolution at all.
yeah. And the sad part about that is I work in a department. Now we want to talk about how all these doctors are great. The sad part about that is the doctors have to come to us for the results to actually make the determination on what the patient actually needs. Because without us, the doctors will put you on medications that you don't even know that don't even fucking work. Without us, without my department, your doctors would just be putting you on any fucking thing. There's been times when I've sat there and argued with doctors because we had this thing we have this thing where like we try out all the different antibiotics, we tested against all that whatever they got, we tested against all the different antibiotics, and we give you a list on what it's resistant to and what it's susceptible to. So it's easy to read. So you pretty much know what resistance is, what it's resistant to. So 9 times out of 10, if
Hmm.
it's resistant to that, it's probably that medicine's not going to work on for that particular bacteria for the most part. So if it's susceptible to it, that means that antibiotic will work against whatever the person has. These doctors will sit up here and argue that why can't I use this? Because it's resistant to it. Well, can I use this? It's resistant to it. It's like, how about this? It's resistant to it. Okay, what about this one?
Yeah. So instead of affecting the virus, it affects the patient
Yeah, like
who's not resistant to the medication. So it literally causes some sort of change in them that might be
no, we
bad.
call
Might
it
be really bad.
yeah, no, we refer to it as a Sensi test. We refer to as senses
Okay.
in microbiology. And so it's
Hmm.
basically we run senses on the bacteria in micro, and we refer to it as sensi tests. So
Okay.
like we basically run a list of antibiotics. If a doctor wants to add one, we got like the basic generic ones that we got the basic ones that we would normally run. And if a doctor decides that he wants to add one to it, we'll basically add that to the mix so it can actually test the bacteria against all the different see how susceptible or resistant to all the different antibiotics it is for the most part. Which is actually we put it in the Vitek and it basically handles that. Which is actually
How many different antibiotics are there?
oh shit. Oh man, they updated that last time I looked at the list, man. It was like over like 100 and something.
Wow. Dang.
It was like
Yeah,
it was
because
like
there's
already at like it was already at like 90 something. It was already at 90 something like a couple of years ago, but then we updated it a year later. Then it was like at 100 and something. Then apparently there's more that came onto the market, so now it's at like damn near 200 or 300 now. Antibiotics out there on the market, and it's like really
uh-huh.
ridiculous. That includes the generic ones and the brand name ones and the mid tier ones for the most part. And then you got some new ones that are in test trial, and you got some new ones that are just like ready to go for the most part, which is actually really really nice. So you typically know what's going on. Um, but there's a shit ton of
So
antibiotics out there.
what's the difference between what's the, like the new ones that are coming out? What do they have? Like, are they what do they have that's different about them?
Usually the newer ones that are coming out, they they
Hmm.
they tend to deal with the um the uh the MRSA resistant one. They tend to do with like the ones where like you it's resistant to all that or MSSA and MSSR. If it's resistant to all those, these ones are pretty much those. These ones that are coming out now are pretty much
They're
like the
like those
Cadillac
killers.
version. Like they kill like all the shit and like 9 times if they don't kill it, then your ass is grass for the most part. Is typically how it works.
Uh-huh. Right.
Um, so if the antibiotics that we got now don't kill it, then your ass out of luck for the most part. It's typically how that works. Um, which is sad. You never want to be in that situation. You never
Uh-huh.
want to be in it. You never want to be in that
Yeah,
situation
because
at
it's like
all.
you're relying on them. You're relying on them to be able to identify them as disclaimer. All of the are not or resistant to all these different chemicals, resistant to all these different antibodies, resistant
Yeah,
to all
like
these.
literally, we like when we actually result it out, it says resistant, susceptible. Like when you look at all the antibiotics on the right,
Mhm.
and then you see all the antibiotics down the middle. Basically, you see what it's resistant to right next to it. So you see the antibiotic, then it'll say resistant. You'll see the antibiotic, then it'll say susceptible. You'll see the antibiotic, and it'll say this basically, and it's typically how that works. Listen to Deuce Eggs. Kill the rich, save the poor.
Yeah, dude. I let them die, let them all die. I don't care if they're rich, poor, just let them die. You know, I believe in Darwinism. I
I
believe in
do. That
Darwinism.
was my last video. Yeah, I know.
Please let them die. Please just don't. I mean, you let the doctors, the people like Pico, you let them you let them save somebody. All right, you don't have to do anything to save somebody who's already gonna die. You're already meant to die. Let the process carry out. With all with any person who passes away. Like the more you try to do to stop it, the more you're just causing more internal problems for yourself.
Yeah, true.
You have to have something left for you at the end of the day. That's why they say adjusting your own mask before helping somebody else. Because we all need to breathe up in this bitch. We all need to do it. But like honestly though, getting back to the main topic of what we were talking about, like with the antibodies, that was a good tie-in because the perception, because literally the antibodies have to be able to perceive something in order to fix it. And that's kind of true. Like, what do you think about perception as reality? Because I can tell by what you're saying, you kind of you would agree with it at some points, but then it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter sometimes.
Um, the sad part about that is like I agree with it sometimes when it's actually very when it's all inclusive and it actually has. I don't mean like all inclusive like on this bullshit that the left
Like
is
it
talking
makes
about.
logical sense
It
at
makes
the
logical sense.
time, or
It makes logical sense, and everybody's point of view was taken into consideration, and it was weighed to actually put it in there. Is typically what I mean by that for the most part.
You sound like a person who's like run a successful business before, and it's like never it's never failed.
Yeah, for the most part, I do. I
Mhm.
try my best to at least. But
Okay.
like typically, you want to take input from everywhere. You don't want to just take one narrative because at the end of the day, what will happen is
Mhm.
if you're just running off of one narrative, then shit can happen because you don't have the other side of the coin in there. Then you can lose your business or lose the shirt off your back. Typically, that's typically how that works, and that's the sad, that's the cold hard reality when it comes down to it. Like you're going to lose the shirt off your back. You're going to lose everything, all because you're trying to be narrow minded. The point of actually the point of
Could
life
that
is
be
actually
also
growing.
interpreted as lack of coverage?
Yeah, lack of coverage or
Hmm.
lack of knowledge or being narrow
Hmm.
minded.
Right.
Because you're not willing to look at other aspects or other avenues. The point of actually planning is to actually plan, have a 360 plan. That way, if shit goes wrong, you have contingency plans for that plan, and or your first
Well, let
plan's
me
so
ask you this
good
then,
you ain't got to
as
worry
like
about a
a
contingency plan for the most part.
that would be amazing, honestly, if that's how it all panned out. And I mean, in school, I read Mice and Men
And no,
and like
not all politicians are lawyers, Duzangs. Some of them are doctors. Some of them
yeah, some of
are
them are doctors.
business owners. Some of them are winery owners. Some of them are freaking just wealthy.
Pretty much, pretty much, they're all the same.
Yeah,
They all had black friends. Just let's just put it out there, guys. Come on. I can be. I'm not racist. I have a black friend. That's that's pretty much everybody.
even Tico's an honest criminal. Yeah, at least I'm honest about this shit. Yeah, yeah, I know. Got to be. Shoot, my word is my bond. Um,
It's hey, that's if you're, it's what you say that you commit to. It's the words that you use that define how people will remember you.
yeah, typically.
Yeah, and I mean, there's things that your actions do that speak louder than all of that. So if perception is reality, but you don't actually pay attention to what actually happens and goes on around you for the most part, then your perception is not your reality.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
like the sad part about that is like it's one thing to have your perception of the world, and you try to make it a reality. But the sad part about that is your perception. It's not a realistic thing. It's just your perception. It's basically like it'd be no different if I went outside and said all white women are pretty much are all degenerates and they're ingrates, and you got to worry about being around them because either they'll get into trouble, they'll get themselves into trouble, and you don't want to be a witness to it, or they're always plastered drunk and falling down drunk all over the damn place.
Karma. They
Yeah,
have very bad karma.
they have or yeah, they have very bad karma. If I
They
was to say
got
that, I
bad
would actually be
karma.
my perception. That would be my perception. But the sad part about it, if you actually look out in reality,
Yeah.
it looks pretty true. Like if you look out in reality, it's pretty much a bunch of white girls that's falling down drunk on the fucking sidewalk outside bars
That's all it is. I've never like I've
with
never
their legs
honestly
spread open
honestly
wide, and they
I'll be honest
got
with you.
they got these short ass
I've
dresses on or short ass skirts on, and their legs are spread open wide, and they're sprawled across the ground or a bench or the stairs or it's just stuff like that. And like, but however, that could be my perception of white women. However, at the
yeah,
same time, it's just my perception that don't make it
true,
reality. But
true.
unfortunately, in this day and age, it tends to be a lot of reality when it comes to white women. Unfortunately, I mean, it's sad. I mean,
Yeah.
no matter how much I can like explain it away, there's a lot of white women out there just drunk as hell, falling all over the damn place. Don't get
They're
me
all
wrong. There's
drunk.
black women.
They're
There's
drinking
black
right
women.
now.
Yeah, like there's black women drunk, but they're trying to get into fucking fights and shit like that. Whereas white women are just sprawled out all over the place in a short ass skirt or a short ass dress, and it's like,
They're basically
lady,
helpless.
I'm gonna need you
They're
to
all
either put some
helpless.
panties on or get up and get in
Yeah.
your car and go to sleep in your car.
Your
Like,
lack of clothing is very offensive. Your
yeah, your
lack of
lack of clothing is
uh,
very offensive, and your lack of clothing is probably going to get you really,
uh,
really bad juju.
really somebody's gonna notice that wasn't me.
Yeah, and it's like somebody's going to notice that, and they're probably going to, think of it as an invitation. So you might want to,
Basically,
straighten yourself out and get yourself
basically.
together and get back in your car and probably fall asleep in a safer place.
Yeah,
It's just shit like that. Like, where's your friends at for you to, because you're falling, like, where are your friends at? Like, why are your friends letting you be a fall down drunk out here? Like, what the fuck is really going on, lady?
Becky left you.
Yeah, Becky literally left you. Becky and Karen. Becky's probably
Karen,
giving Becky in the alleyway, and
I
Karen
talked to
Karen got
Karen today.
mad, and she probably
She's so
parents probably looking for
Karen,
somebody's supervisor.
Karen feels a type of way now
Yeah, and she's looking for
about her
somebody's
name.
supervisor. Mm-hmm.
She's yeah. She's seriously considering changing her name right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sad, but it's so true. Now the funny thing, something that I find funny about
Whatever,
about the
smartass.
whole
Something I always
situation.
find funny.
I ran out of things to say right there. No, but it's funny. It's so funny because that is how it is, and it's like I struggle with the idea of some certain people when they say perception is reality, but then with other people, like some of the people that I meet online, I agree with them
Mm-hmm.
when they explain it from their perspective. But it's like to me, I don't really meet a lot of individuals on a regular basis. I meet a lot of drones. I meet a lot of NPC people. Like I meet a lot of them, but I don't know if I have a lot of like individual human interaction on a daily basis. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a result of our environment. Like people, like you said, have been spread out. People have been spread out all the way back to like the in this country, like back to the beginning days of it's like nobody stays where they're at. Everybody always has to move. Everybody, and it's sad that's happened, and like our politics are results of that history.
Actually, Duzangs, to be honest with you, actually, less than 75% of the senators are actually lawyers.
Yeah, where are you getting that statistic from? Because I actually want to know what percentage are because I feel
Less
like
than 75% according to Bloomberg. They're actually saying
I
that
feel like that was true at one
they're
point.
actually saying that politicians actually they need more lawyer politicians basically, because you got doctors, you got business owners, you got winery people, you got actors and actresses, you got freaking you got legacy kids. Like none of them are lawyers. Yeah, so actually that 90% is actually false. It hasn't been over 90% since early, like since before 1997. I mean 1970 or something like that, or 1800s.
Yeah, it's true. And things like that, things like elections just can change like rapidly. Like you don't know how many lawyers just left and were replaced by a bunch of like ingrates.
Just say juicy juice, juicy juice. That's funny. Becky
What does he
Stan,
mean? What does he mean by Beckistan? What is that?
Becky.
Oh, Beckistan. No, because they'd be closed if it was from a country like that. It's
Becky
not
Stan.
Beckistan.
No, it's
It's
Becky
like
Stan. It's basically like
I can't.
it's like the some shady Stan thing. It's like they include they include Becky in that one, and it's like
Becky.
Stan fan basically dressed like the same damn way, act the same damn way, look the same damn way, mimic the same damn way, but have bad attitudes and bad
I think it's a really good movie, even though I don't like it's not that entertaining to watch. Um,
juicy juice.
I think the most funny one is Adventureland, where it's the woman the women who are it's that one actress I don't know her name, but it's Adventureland. It's their the guy he's like in the amusement park game looking across towards the roller coaster and he just sees like these girls dancing. It's like, they're both dancing the exact same, but they're so flamboyant. It was like some weird beat. It was like, and they're all like they're dancing like they're like, I saw you dancing, and that idea just came up because we were talking about like just how stress, just how weird every single one of them kind of have this exact same mentality. Like
Very
they
true.
have this exact same way of thinking. But
Very true. And that's the sad part when like you run into
uh,
people like that or run into people who act like that. It's like they have the same mentality, the same damn dress, the same
it's like if
actions,
you
the same
combine them all up
attitude.
in a
This is
row, they would all realize that they're all very similar. But since they're
yeah,
all spread out, it's hard for them to realize that they're like, I act just like so and so,
yeah, literally.
or
And the
I act
sad
just
part
like
about that
this
is
guy.
you'll tend to run into a lot of people that act like that. That'll say something to the extent of, "Well, I do my own thing. Everybody be trying to act like me," you
Everybody
know.
acts, yeah, everybody acts like me. This is the way that I do, and then like I'm
Like I
organized,
follow,
so
I
this
create
is
my
the
own
way that
style and my own this and my own
things
that.
should
Me,
be done.
like,
And like
no,
it's
you
like
don't.
it's like you don't, but that is true for the majority of things that we as humans think about. Like true
True,
that if more people pour attention and energy into something that matters, something will happen in that direction. That's just the way that people work. But if you
true
take
story.
your individual perception and you try to apply that to another person, you realize that no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, true story.
That's not that is actually counterintuitive to how it works because Darwinism is a real thing.
Yeah, literally. There's this thing called Darwinism. It actually works. Tico co-signs on it.
And
Tico so
it's
co-signs
sad, but
Darwinism. If you don't like
it's sad, but
Darwinism, it sucks being you because
yeah,
happen.
it is.
And
It
it's
does.
typically what
And
it is. That's pretty much my whole entire stance on everything when it comes down to it. Because like I was saying, like, look, either you got to learn properly or you got to learn wrong and end up dead or learn wrong and end up fucked up for the most part. Because at the end of the day, what you can't do is say I'm doing everything right when you're doing everything wrong and then blame everybody else for your being wrong when in fact that's the ideology that you chose. This is the mindset that you had going into this. The sad part
right.
about that is there's going to be things in life that's going to make you bend or break your will or destroy you or damn near kill you if you believe a certain ideology and you're not willing to actually deviate from that ideology to save your own damn life. And that's typically what it is. That's typically the same
Hmm.
ideology that women have when they say, I should be able to dress any way I want and nothing should happen to me. Well, unfortunately, in this society, it used to only be 10%, but because of feminism and free love and the march and shit like that, that shit done went up to 15%. So 15% of the population does sick, vile things to humans and other living things in this world. 10%, 15% of the population in the United States does sick, vile things to human beings
Yeah.
and or other living things. So, what makes you think just because you believe that you
Yeah.
should be able to do
Compared to
this?
other countries, isn't it much more? I mean, the proportion is much more crazy, sick, vile. I mean, I know people are
Yeah,
people around the world, but like think
like yeah,
about it.
the
America,
sad part about that is
15% of the
like,
people commit the most heinous, vile things onto
well, and it's not
mankind.
even 50. It's not even 50% of the people. It's the sad part about that is like it's what two when it comes to black people. It's like 1 to 2% of the black population commits all the fucking crimes.
Yeah, 2% of the black population commits
Commits
all of
all the
the
fucking crimes. And the
all the
sad part
crimes.
about that, I actually did a video on that where I said it would be different. The statistics would be different if they actually like if they arrest the black people at the same rate they would if they committed the crime in a white neighborhood. So if a black person
Yeah,
commits a crime in a
the
white
the
neighborhood,
arrest the arrest
they're
the not enough
automatically
arrests
going
are
to
happening.
jail. If a
Hmm.
if a black person commits a crime in a black neighborhood, 9 times out of 10 they'll be back out on the street to commit another
Yeah, they
fucking
get a
crime.
slap on the wrist.
It, yeah, they basically either get a slap on the wrist or they
Hmm.
get a very, very low bail, and they're basically back out on the street acting the same fool that they were in the beginning. And that's the sad reality of it. If they arrested them at the
Hmm.
same rate they would if they were in a white neighborhood, they wouldn't have this high ass
Yeah,
crime rate. They would just be in jail.
yeah, yeah. Hey man, I think we've gone long enough there. It's been great talking, but I kind of want to get off this one and move on to the next stuff. I was trying to see. I want to still do news stories though for the show or for Trend Labs,
We can do the news
but
stories.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen today. But are you wanting to go longer, or you want to take this? You want to end this one?
It's up to you. Do you want to continue, or do you want to talk about the other topic, or you want to talk about the same topic and expand upon it, or
Um, I can Well, I guess yeah. I guess we can keep going.
totally up to you. Makes no difference to me.
All right. Yeah. That's kind of what's been on my mind lately, just as I reconsider all of the options that I have out there, and I know that I perceive them to be there because a lot of times I have confidence in myself. I could go out and do it, but it's just at the end of the day, it's hard because I feel like I witness a lot
Yeah.
of stuff, and then because I'm not around for what other people see, then that makes me negative. It gives a negative impression to other
Well,
people.
and the sad part about that is, like I was saying, when it comes to being straight up the middle and down the middle,
Hmm.
the problem with being down the middle is like everybody wants to be against you for the most part, and everybody wants to condemn you for not picking their side, which is very sad. Like, I don't have to take your side. Well, if you're not with us, you're against us type. And it's the attitude that a lot of people have when it comes down to it. Like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not against anybody. I'm for me. I'm for myself. Like, mind your fucking business and stay the fuck out of my business, basically. And it's typically how I feel about it. Like, dude, I don't have to take your side. Your side sounds stupid
Yeah.
as hell, and I don't have to take. I don't have to take this side, even though they sound more reasonable. I can always go up the middle. I can always be smack dab in the middle. I can be a neutral person. But the sad part about that is, in the United States, you have to pick a side, or you have to pick a race, or you have to pick
Well,
this, or you
nobody's
have to pick this,
neutral. I
or you
mean,
have to check off the box for this.
yeah.
And it's like fucking ridiculous. Like, dude, calm the fuck
Everybody's
down.
pushed into a corner, and I think like we were talking about earlier, I think that just as a result of being human, we have a tendency to be thinking like in very stressful like compartmentalizations, because it's like I don't know, for some reason I can totally picture some of these people chilling on a beach somewhere, just
Facts,
loving
America's
themselves,
facts.
doing what they love to do, and it's fine. Like however you want to recline and relax and stuff. But it's like I never see them like that. I always see them on edge, or I always see them trying to push a narrative, and it's sad, but or it's sad that that is the reality of how we all live today.
Yeah, and it's
That
very
people can be
sad when that actually happens.
pushed off into corners of their mind that
Like a
they
good
don't
like a good
expect to be
example of that is like I was talking about with doctors and shit like that. It's like,
because they simply have to care. They
yeah,
they they can't they get offended anytime I say I don't care.
yeah. I don't. Yeah,
And
they get
it's
everybody gets offended when I say I don't care. And the sad part about that, I don't care if you get offended. All I care about is the truth. But like I was saying with doctors, when it comes down to it, not all there's a small majority of doctors who don't get kickbacks. There's a large majority of doctors that get kickbacks from drug companies, the government, you name it. For the most part, there's a small majority of doctors that get zero kickbacks or don't. A good example of a doctor who's getting kickbacks from a certain drug or prescription is,
mm-hmm.
we used to have this doctor. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to put him on blast. Um, he was an infectious control doctor, infectious disease doctor. He would call us, and like we would do the normal shit, and this man will request a sensitivity for Nanezolin. Now we don't need to do a sensitivity for Nanezolin. We did all this shit and it's susceptible for all this shit. Why are you calling for Nanezolin? Why? And the sad part about that is,
Mm-hmm.
now we got to do extra sensitivities for Nanezolin when in fact we got all these sensitivities on
Yeah.
file.
So like
And
people die because that guy wanted Nemesolin at the most strange and awkward time.
yeah,
Like
that's the
why?
sad part. Like, why couldn't you ask for this at the beginning before we did the test and came out with all the senses? Now this patient's
Yeah.
got to wait an extra day or two so you can get more, you can get senses on this shit. And the sad part about that is this doctor is actually getting kickbacks from the
Does
Nanezolin
he get
company.
paid? I mean, like that's what I
He's
was
getting
asking
kickbacks
from
from
the.
that shit.
Doesn't he get
Like,
paid for that? Why would
yeah,
you
he's getting
entertain
kickbacks.
somebody thinking if they're getting like a ton of money on it? And it's like that's what I think is weird about management too, is because people will try to get you to think in line with what they're thinking from very early on in the organization. It's like they have no opportunity to shape or anything. They have to just do the job that autonomous drone A told them to do, and it's weird because they can't actually grow because the way that you set it up from jump is to only see it how you see it. So
Yeah.
there's no weight added for the most part. Is
And the
how it
sad part
seems.
about that is it blows my mind how many doctors actually get kickbacks. Well, it doesn't blow my mind. It's not shocking to me because it's a very selfish society that we live in. This is why we can't have communism in the United States for this reason because everybody's fucking selfish. We couldn't have
Exactly.
communism because it requires everybody to share. Nobody wants to fucking share in the United States. They want to be selfish in the United States. Don't get me wrong, there are some people that will share. However, the vast majority of people are all about gimme, 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 me. That's typically how that works. So you can't have communism in a society where everything revolves around me. And the neat thing about that is the most selfish
That's
group
true.
of people are not even the richest people. The most selfish group of people are women. The most selfish group of people are feminists because everything revolves around them or how it affects women or how it affects this
Yeah,
group of
like
people
that's
or
the thing too. Okay, so with the whole like Me Too situation, it's like whenever these guys come out, I see them like they're implicated in the jack fuckery that's going on in Hollywood. But like at the same time, you got to be like, I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them for what they did. I mean, like how they benefited from that situation.
yeah.
I'm mad at the people that milked the drama out of it, that
Oh
milked
hell
the
yeah, like you
energy out
do.
of it.
Wait a minute, so
Because like
you
these
when
things
you went in
happen. These
when you
people are
went in
consenting adults.
yeah
Like,
but
don't we understand that
technically
they technically no one should be able to tell them what they get to do, and at the
when
same
the
time
and the
you're
sad part about
yeah.
that
Go
is
ahead.
like
Go. The
what
thing.
that lets me know about those type of people is one, you were too weak-willed or too weak-minded to basically fall for some stupid shit and or you went along with it. And the sad part about that, what you can't tell me is you were forced to do something when in fact you actually the one that went to his hotel room. You could have said
Or
no.
something like that, or
You
something
could have
like
said
that. Not
no,
usually. It's
but
always
you decided
some
because the sad part about that
something that
there are a small majority of women who actually face this type of shit. Then will turn it down and go, no, that's not for me. And the sad part about it, there's a YouTuber who's a singer who was actually put in the same situation, but she literally got blacklisted on YouTube for actually saying the shit that really goes on in Hollywood. She said basically, and I quote, I was watching
I
her
remember
channel.
that. She's like a
Yeah,
redhead chick, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
she was a redhead chick, and
yeah.
she said she was like she was getting ready to
She
go
was on
on her
Charmed or
flight,
something. She was like
huh?
on like I think she was on Charmed.
No, she would not this one. It was
No,
a
no, no.
different one.
Yeah, I
This
forget.
is
I
actually
forget.
a YouTuber. This is not like Rose McGowan you're thinking of. This is actually a YouTuber. And the sad part about that, she's a singer, and she was saying like she writes songs on her YouTube. That's all she does is songs and shit like that, and plays music on her YouTube channel. And she was saying something to the extent of,
Mm.
"I was about to get on a plane to go for a record contract, but this happened." And the sad part about that, she actually explained it step by step on what happened. So she was saying the guy would call me and it would be weird and say, I can't wait for you to come to such and such to meet me and this that and the other. I can't wait to meet you, this that and the other. And she said it was kind of sort of creepy. It was kind of sort of creepy because he would call her every once in a while to make sure she's actually going to make it. And the sad part about that is she was packing her bags and she was leaving her house to go to the airport when he said, and I quote onto her to the phone, oh, I can't wait for you. I can't wait to see your sexy body and this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other. And, I can't wait to, I can't wait to see your pretty mouth and kiss all over your body and like see you naked and
That's
shit like
tough.
that.
That's tough.
There's
That's
some
tough.
creepy ass shit basically. And she decided
That
that
that's that's all. That's all that this. I'm not just gonna say the manosphere. That's all they're saying. Just don't do that. That's all
yeah,
they're saying. Just don't do that. Don't
don't do that.
spend
Yeah, we say
attention.
don't do that, but
Don't
the
pay
sad
too
part
much
about that,
attention. Don't
women say
spend too much of your feelings. Don't do anything where you feel like it's like super desperate because
yeah.
it's
Well,
at the
no,
end of
it's
the
not
day.
even that though. She was literally trying to get a record contract, and the person that was signing her was telling her all this shit. So she's
Yeah,
basically
exactly.
about to end up on a casting couch. The problem with that
Right.
is she decided as she was on her way to the airport to turn the car back around and go back home and ruin her whole entire music career because that's not her. That type of shit is not for her. And the sad part about that is we need more women like that. We need more young women that actually act like that, or that are willing to conduct themselves in a professional manner and not want to be taken advantage of or not wanting to
Yeah.
be on their knees to actually get to
Certainly.
the top for the most part. And it's sad that we don't have a society of women that'll do that. So what they'll turn around and do,
Right.
like they'll pretty much lower their inhibitions and lower their standards and lower their expectations and all this stuff just so they can actually for fame and fortune. It's typically how that works, and that's the cold hard reality that we have in the United States. People are willing to actually go very
Lower their
low and
standards for
go to
some.
the lowest of the low to basically get to what they want. Like women are willing to actually do these casting couch, but then be mad when people aren't really picking them up or people are like picking up a younger, hotter actress that I could actually act or something like that, and then they want to be mad. Now they want to out whole entire Hollywood, and now they really want to be mad because now they're not getting any parts. So the sad part about that is it was like a two-part thing. You're mad,
Yeah. It's the
you were
first
upset.
mad and then the second mad.
It's like the
And
first mad,
the
second
two
mad.
together, the
Yeah,
two
it's like
together
the
make hose mad. Hose
it's
mad.
like literally.
Hose
And the
mad.
sad part
Hose
about that,
mad.
their initial thing was you don't have any skills, so we're not looking at you to what can I do to actually get into movies? Like, so you're willing to sell your soul to being
Right.
movies. Okay, cool. So now you're selling your soul. So went from selling your soul to you being mad again, and now you're really mad because you can't get in any movies because the person who actually got you into the movies is the person you sue in jail. Like now you're really not getting no damn parts because you can't act in the first damn place. And what was
And
the
you
point
threw
of
the
having
guy
you
that
around?
gave you the job into
Yeah,
jail.
you screwed the guy that you screwed the guy that you screwed the guy that actually got you all the jobs and
Exactly.
shit like that. And this is the reason
Where
why Bree. This
where
is
are
the
all the
reason.
talent
This
the talent coordinators? They're all
yeah, I
in
know.
jail.
Yeah, they're all in jail. And
So
this
you
is
can't
the
get a role.
this is why you're starting to see like people like Brie Larson on YouTube now because she really can't act. She can't act, so she has to come to YouTube, and now her YouTube career is bombing. Like, think about that shit.
Well, I couldn't tell she couldn't act because every role she's been in has been pretty much like scripted down to the very,
Yeah, that's the sad part.
last minute detail. So she's really
Thanks,
had no
Americas.
opportunity to act.
Like, yeah, like
That's the
she.
sad part with a lot of the actors now. It's like
Well, no, because
they get
they make
typecast into a role that is like basically
well,
telling
no,
them
it's the
they
sad
have
part
to
about that.
say
They're not even
exactly what they
typecasted.
do.
Even when they're typecasted, they suck at being typecasted. And the sad part about that is now Hollywood has to tailor roles to that actual person because they can't act.
Or they're too much like the archetypes of the past because everybody's basically the same person, like we were talking about earlier. Like where it's like if you were to put them on the screen, they'd probably be much more just raw. You know, they probably
Well, no, the sad part about that is
drum up.
it's not even the actresses and actors of the past because the actors and the actresses of the past can actually
Uh
act.
huh.
Half of them can actually
No,
sing,
true.
act, and
They
all
could
do
act.
the whole 9 yards. Whereas these
Hmm.
motherfuckers, they got zero skills. And nobody wants to go see a movie with somebody who has zero skills in acting. Like a good example of a person that can't act
Really?
that
You
happened to
want to see
be
it?
like a good
The
example of
J.
a
Curl
person
movie?
that a good example of a person that can't act that's been in a lot of blockbuster movies is Amber Heard. She can't act to save. She can't act herself out of a wet paper
No, she's
bag.
been in a lot of blockbusters, dude.
But she's
She's
been
been
in
in
a
a
lot of
lot.
blockbuster movies though. But she can't act herself out of a wet paper bag. Hell, my son
But you
Laszlo
should
got better
respect
acting
her
skills
and
than she
respect
does,
her
and
stunning
he's
and braveness
six.
that she was in
He's
all
six. He's
those
six and
movies.
got better acting skills than she does. Hell, my 11-year-old who gets attitude, who pretty much I can tell you in a heartbeat can't act. She has better acting skills than Brie Larson and all the rest of them chicks in Hollywood. And like so, and it's just shit like this that just blows my mind when I hear people say this stuff. Because like now you don't got any parts now. Now you're bitter and mad now. Now you're definitely hose mad. Hose mad.
Hose
Like think
mad,
about that
hose
shit.
mad.
Like and think about that. Like, now you're definitely not getting any roles, and now you're trying to go to YouTube, or now you're trying to be a Twitch star, now you're trying to be
Yeah.
OnlyFans person, now you're trying to sell yourself
Yeah. And
on
then now
like
you're trying to swipe. Now you're trying to swipe right on Yam's Tinder profile.
I know, right?
How dare you? How
Right?
dare you?
No, and
I
it's,
am
it's just
coming
shit
to
like
this
that.
country.
And it's
I am only young, and you
and
do
it's
this to me. I fly all the way here. How dare
you're
you?
simple. And the sad part about that is like you run into people like this that can't
I
act,
should be in school.
don't got an acting bone in their body, and like they basically had to return favors so they can get into movies. or get on the big screen for the most part, or get any type of part. They basically had to return favors to get those parts. And the sad part about that is you actually start to see the people who can't act versus the people who can act. Because look at it like this: look at all the people who were getting parts before Harvey Weinstein got arrested.
Yeah,
Now look
that's
at
true.
now look at all the people who are actually getting parts now after Harvey Weinstein's been arrested.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like they're getting parts now and after, and well, yeah, I get what you're saying, but like, think about it, like a talent caster's job versus my job. You know, like I walk into my job, there's always something to clean. I always have something to do, you know. But the telecaster, this is what happens. This is how his day starts.
What's
He
up? What's
wakes
up?
up.
Successful endeavors.
There's a million
Successful endeavors in the
emails in
house.
his inbox, and every single one of them is a woman who wants to be famous. He doesn't have any. He may not have to like. There might not be any like building he has to go and scrub, down, clean, make sure it looks spotless, make sure it looks perfect. But there's all these different opportunities for him to sit, basically,
And it's true.
and or and
It's like
it's like
simp,
there's
or
not a lot of
and the
work.
women
There's not a
basically
lot of
have all
work.
the opportunities in the world to basically cheat the
Yeah,
system, and because they're women for the most part, and it's like that's the only way you can get ahead because you're a woman. Had you have been a man, you wouldn't be in these. You wouldn't be enjoying all these lovely things. You got like Twitch thoughts actually set up crying that men get away with more shit. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you done did more shit than most people do, and you still have a Twitch stream. You have a Twitch channel, and there's more Twitch streamers that are men that have just been banished or disappeared and never come back. Like a good example of that is, okay, if men get away with everything, how come Doctor Disrespect is gone? Go ahead. I'll wait. Don't worry. I'll wait. If men get away with everything, how come all these other Twitch streamers that are guys they do something simple? How come? Matter of fact, if 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 men get away with everything, how come TFM is no longer on Twitch? Okay then. Oh, don't worry. Come up with your excuses. I'll wait. You can get back to me tomorrow if you want to. And the sad part about that is women always want to complain or place blame. And the neat thing about it, women always project shit for the most part. So women will never tell the truth about what they're actually talking about. They'll actually project and say men get away with everything. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they want to say women are getting away with everything, but they can't say that because that would defeat their narrative, which is very,
they
very
don't know how to
sad.
communicate it. That's what it's like to listen to a woman talk, where she's like when she is trying to say that she was in a like with the whole Jada thing. When you watch those round tables, it's like that's what she's trying to explain something that she did wrong, and it's the most cringy thing to watch because she's literally saying like we.
Yeah, no. The sad part about that is like she's basically trying to downplay all the shit that she did and make it sound like
Yeah,
it's
she
not
doesn't
all that bad.
understand it.
Like, dude, look, you had an affair. Y'all weren't together. Admit to actually having a fucking affair. Like you ain't got to come up with fancy ass
Right.
words for shit. And that's the thing that pisses me off when it comes to people. They always got to come up with these fancy ass terms or words. Women always do this shit. Like apparently, they're happy to be single, but the minute a man's happy to be single, he's bitter. He hates women.
I'm
He's all
bitter.
this other
I'm
crazy
bitter.
shit. But
I'm
she
so
could be
bitter.
she can marry herself and be happy to be single and take herself out to enjoy herself. But the minute a man does that, he's wrong and he's bitter
I'm
and he
wrong.
hates women.
I'm wrong. I'm
Like
bitter.
what?
I'm bitter.
And the sad part about that is it just blows my mind how much shit that women want to talk and then turn around. Sister Devers is a trip. Don't worry, he'll wait.
What did he say?
But yeah, people are, and that's the thing that blows my mind when it comes to stuff like that because
Oh,
at the
he'd
end of
be
the
here the
day,
entire stream. He'd be here for the rest of the night. Easily.
yeah, definitely to
Waiting for
talk
something
about all
good.
the craziness that women do and then try to project onto men and say they do. Like, no, that's you,
And
pimp.
oh yeah, and like
That's you,
the
pimp.
only
That's
thing I
all
wanted to
you.
add is that the weird thing is like I know the really weird thing is like I noticed that not a lot of people even know about that. Like Twitch is a good example of that, but not a lot of people even know about Twitch. Like
Yeah.
I'm just talking about real
Like
like people who
TFM, I
know
think TFM actually started his
yeah
career. Terraflinging Monkey started his career on Twitch,
on
I
Twitch
believe.
on Twitch,
Yeah, he literally started
and
his whole entire career on
he was just
Twitch.
gaming. He was just gaming, and
Yeah,
that's
and
what
basically,
I like.
basically he said a couple. Basically, he would say a couple things, and then they called him misogynistic, and now he's banned from Twitch. Like, think
Yeah,
about
they're
that
like you
shit.
have a flawed mentality. Banned from
Yeah, and
YouTube.
now he's banned from Twitch. Like,
Banned
what?
from Twitch.
And he's
Banned
actually a
from
pretty
Twitch.
good. He's actually a pretty good gamer, which is actually pretty funny. Like, I don't really give that. I don't really give the head nod to too many people, but TFM's actually a pretty good gamer. He's not better than me though. I kick his ass in Doom. I kick his ass. I'm just joking now. I'm not just joking now.
No, whatever. No, no,
I've mopped the
no.
floor when I'm an Apex Legend.
You're fine. You're fine. You get
Let
to
me
have you
stop
get
picking
to
on
have your
TFM now.
spotlight, Tico. Have your spotlight.
I know.
Go
I'm just
ahead.
joking. No, I'm
Take
just.
it. Take it.
I think I could probably beat him in Apex Legend. All jokes aside. I would say Fortnite and Apex Legend I could beat him in. Doom, he probably kicked my ass, and I would actually admit to that. But I know
I
I could
like
take
it
him in.
when the game is. I like when the game is single player, but it gives you like leaderboard stats,
Yeah.
like a roguelike,
Mhm.
like I almost back to those retro arcade games. They're really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I like seeing the leaderboard, like when you can actually see who's whooping your ass, who's behind you, who you're in front of, and shit like that. And I will actually admit that TFM could probably mop the floor with me
Oh,
in
and
Doom, most definitely.
I found a
But I would give him
pound
a run for
coin.
his money. I would give him a run for his money in like Apex
Hey,
Legends or
RPOS
Fortnite.
Sigma RPOS. I found a pound coin. What should I do with it?
Oh, use a trip. Anyways, I don't think they're in there. I don't even think they're even in the chat, simpleton. But
No,
yeah,
if they listen on the playback, they'll know that I thought about
but the
them.
sad part about that is when it comes down to it, is like we live in a society where women want everything. It's kind of like But like a good example of that is there's this one girl that was not really my friend. She was kind of my friend because she was associated with actually one of my actual friends, and they were dating. And the sad part about that is she used to accuse this man of cheating. Sad part about that is I knew where this nigga was at all times, and I knew he wasn't cheating because he's my homeboy and he doesn't cheat. I know he doesn't cheat.
Yeah. I've had a
Because he actually
couple
tells
friends
me all
like
the
that
shit.
where
He tells me all the
we
shit
were
that he
hanging
actually
out.
does and all the shit that he gets into. And 9 times out of 10, when he gets into shit,
Exactly.
my black ass is sitting right next to him getting into shit. Like,
Bailing them out. Exactly. They set a high bail. Like I've realized women in relationships set a high bail for their men when when they arrest them for something. It's like if you get in trouble, like you're gonna need either a really good friend to bail you out or a lot of money or something. You're gonna need something. You're gonna need to learn how to cook or something.
yeah.
And it's sad, but it's true.
And the sad part about that is like she used to accuse him of cheating all the fucking time, all the damn time. And the sad part about that is I remember I turned around and said to her, like, because my motto and my grandmother's motto is if you're complaining about somebody cheating, 10 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times, you're probably cheating. And I remember I said to her, a person who complains about somebody cheating the most is usually the one that's cheating. And this goofy heifer, without fail, actually said, "Yeah, I know. Like, you should never accuse somebody of cheating. Like, bitch, you're accusing somebody of cheating. That means you're cheating." And you actually
Exactly.
admitted to cheating. Like, think about that shit. Like, she actually admitted to cheating. She said, "Yeah, I know. Anybody that accuses somebody of cheating the most is probably always cheating. It's probably cheating
Or knows,
themselves."
or at least it's kind of like the whole. It's with
Like, do you
anything. Like,
realize what
how
you
do you
just
know
said,
what it
lady?
is? How are you able to know exactly what cheating is so much?
Well, the sad part about that, the person who's accusing somebody of cheating,
Uh,
9 times out of 10 is laying their guilt on that other. They're basically trying to
no,
push
no,
the guilt
yeah, I
off
get you.
themselves
Exactly.
onto another person. Typically, is how that works.
It's
So they're
not that they
projecting
are
their guilt.
guilty.
They're
They're
projecting their
just
guilt
projecting
onto
the
other
guilt that
people.
they feel. Yeah,
They feel, yeah.
because I can see
Because
that
nine
too.
times out of
Like
ten, they're
people make
probably
a
not
mistake,
act.
they feel guilty. Yeah.
Well, the sad part about that, they may not actually be cheating. They might be cheating emotionally, mentally. They might have
Well, what
did
is
something
that
where
though?
there's
Do you
something
believe
that
in
in
that?
their mind that they believe that
Or
they were cheating, so they feel guilty
that just
about it. So
perception?
they actually take it out on their significant other. Typically, is how it works. And mostly
Mm-hmm.
women are known for doing that type of shit. I mean, granted, there are men that do it, but 9 times out of 10, the man actually has a line of reasoning behind why he believes his wife is cheating, whereas a woman, she's projecting that her husband's actually cheating on her or her boyfriend's actually cheating on her most of the
Mm-hmm.
times. Whereas a man, if he accuses his significant other of actually cheating, there's probably something going on that he's seen, read, and or walked in on that he realized was a little off for him to actually accuse you of cheating. Or you probably exhibited some type of behavior that he views you in a certain light that you're actually cheating. That's typically how that works when it comes down to it. Because at the end of the day, you can't say that you're not cheating if your significant other walked in on you and something was a little off or something was you were acting very suspect when he walked in after he walked in for the most part, or you put down your phone or you do something very suspect and start acting a certain way in your behavior. You can't say then that your significant other is cheating on you or you're not cheating for the most part, or I don't know, understand why he always accuses me of cheating. That's not an excuse to go out and cheat either way. that's still not an excuse to go out and cheat. Like, even if you're being accused of cheating, 9 times out of 10, that means you need to correct your behavior because you did something that's not pleasing to your significant other. That's typically what that means. So you're doing something not pleasing to your man. So if he's accusing you of cheating, 9 times out of 10, there's something about your behavior and or your attitude or your character that says otherwise.
That lets them know. Yeah, it lets you
Yeah,
know.
something's off about how you're acting. Like a good example of that, 9 times out of 10, if a man's accused, 9 times out of 10, if a man's accusing a woman of cheating, one of three things is happening. One, the sex stopped. Two, she's acting funny and she's texting people when you're doing various things and she's no longer paying attention to you. And three, she all of a sudden wants to go spend time with her friends. Extra, basically. Extra. Like, I'm not talking about extra. I'm not like normally. Not like, let's just say she go out with her friends like once a week or something like that, or once a month or twice a month. Now she's going out with her friends 3 times a week or 3 times a month or 4 times a month or every other week or every day or something like that. That seems to be very suspect. Something's going on for you to want to do this. Typically is how it works. So when that's actually going on, a man actually automatically thinks, well, she didn't want to go out with her friends before, and all of a sudden now she wants to go on girls trips, and now she wants to go on girls nights. Normally she goes on a girls nights like, the last Thursday of every month or the last Friday of every month or the last Monday of every month, and now all of a sudden now she's going on girls trips like every week now, like, or she's going out for girls nights every week. Something's off. That's typically how that works. Or if she's acting very shady towards you, or she's not paying you attention like she used to, and she's always in her phone, something's off and something's going on. Especially if she doesn't have a job where you need to be in your fucking phone. It's one thing if you're playing video games in your phone. It's a whole nother thing if you're just sitting on your phone via text message or WhatsApp, basically, just messaging people. Like, really, lady, really? And that's typically how that works.
We all know how the texting behavior is from at least our side. It's always just like, good morning, beautiful. That's the kind of stuff that
we send. Yeah, that's the type of shit we send.
And
then like, when your relationship first started, she was sending whole entire like Word documents to you and shit like that. She's doing like word drop to you and shit like that. She's sending whole entire documents to you, telling you how her day was, telling how much she loved you and shit like that.
DocX file.
Like she's literally sending like DocX files and shit like that. Now she's sending like giving few word messages and shit like that. And if she's doing that, she's probably cheating.
Test. Yeah. True story. True story. Now you want to go hang out with your friends. That's what I like.
Yeah, right?
Also, yeah.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah, and then they like super casually mention to you like, oh, I just bought this toy or something. And I bought this. I'm trying to enjoy myself. I'm trying to expand, or I'm trying to relax and enjoy myself. And you're like, all right, all right.
Like a good example of that is
the moment you do it, the moment you try to expand and enjoy, it's just like, oh.
Now all of a sudden there's a woman involved and shit like that. But the sad part about it, that's usually projection of a woman. And the sad part about that is
be more organized.
Yeah, and the sad part about that, when a woman actually does that, or she starts picking up new ideas or new things that she's not interested in, it's because there's another guy on the end of that. There's another guy on the end of that idea or that interest that she actually has now. That's typically how that works. So if a woman comes to you talk about physics or some other shit or talking about baseball or football, this bitch don't know anything about football or baseball. She ain't like football or baseball when you were watching the shit. And all of a sudden now she's interested in football, baseball, physics, astrology, not astrology. What's it called? I already said physics.
She was always
she's into like stuff like space or, astronomy and shit like that. I'm not talking about your your fucking zodiac. I'm talking about astrology as in, she's into like astronomy, as in, she's into that, where like you can actually look up there, find the Big Dipper and shit like that. If she starts talking about shit that she normally wasn't interested in, or she's talking about something brand new, there's a new man on her mind. That's typically how that works. And that's the thing. That's the thing that a lot of men fail to realize. And that actually goes into perception, because you also got to take consideration too. When you talked about that type of stuff, she wasn't interested in that stuff, and she found it boring, and she wasn't interested in stuff. Now all of a sudden, now
Yeah.
Obviously, there's another guy
It's
that's
like
hotter,
you
that
know how
happens
like
to be intelligent on the
guys
other end of that.
guys get ED. I think women get like attention D, or like attention disorder, or attention dysfunction, or it's like they pay attention, they can pay attention to you, but if somebody else, or they have trouble paying attention to you, but soon as somebody who's more interesting comes along, all of a sudden they just can pay very good at, like, they just are watching everything. It's like, I'm like, I notice it all the time. I notice it all the time. People
Yeah,
will
and
do it.
it's
It'll happen all the time, and I don't feel like people even like recognize it sometimes, like, for the most part.
yeah, and it's sad. It's like you watch stuff happen, and it's like, why, dude? Why? Like, why are you acting this way? Why are you being this way? And it's like you got to think about it. Like, oh well, yeah, what they refer to as female logic. And the funny thing about females always talk about how smart they are, or women's intuition, but then you got to ask yourself, where was women's intuition when you were getting your ass beat by that guy? Don't worry, I'll wait. Like, where was female intuition when you're getting your ass beat by that guy? Where was female intuition
Well, that's never
when
been a
when
thing.
that guy that you
That
thought was
doesn't
hot ended up
that doesn't
raping you in the
exist.
alleyway?
That doesn't exist. Like I know
Like,
intuition is real, and I know that women do have the ability to think. But this whole entire social engineered term, women's intuition, like how it's been pushed, is
yeah,
not what it is. It's not trying to give women a bunch of power, all this like all this all this privilege and stuff, because they know something more than what men have to go through, because they have all these responsibilities and whatever. It's like, I'm okay with the whole idea of intuition, but you can't just use that as an excuse for behavior. Right now, we've gone far past that point. Like,
yeah.
intuition is when somebody comes in who you think is like dangerous or whatever, and you immediately, like, try to find cover, find a hiding spot, or avoid the person. Intuition's not, I get to pick whomever I want to have sex with when I dress this way, and
Yeah.
that it gives me full responsibility and lack of responsibility over myself. Like, I have full autonomy. That's not what intuition is about. You can't use that as a justification at all. Because, like, let's say it does work out. Let's say you use your intuition, you get with a better person, or you're opening yourself up to another person, entanglement, emotional involvement, and whatever, what have you.
Hmm.
That's not going to make. I don't think that that's going to. That's not going to come out of your mouth the same way if it goes badly. Like,
Oh no, it's not. It's really
if
not.
she ends up, destitute. Oh, then where was your intuition?
Yeah,
Where was
you
your
ended up
intuition
destitute. What
when
was
you?
your intuition for when you ended up destitute? What was your intuition when you
Oh,
ended
I
up?
guess it was just gone. I guess it was just
Yeah,
gone.
what? Like, when was your intuition when you thought that guy was a hot guy and ended up raping you in the alleyway? What was your
Or
intuition
something like that.
when you thought this guy
Exactly.
would be the rest of your life and he basically walked out on you? What was your
Pretty
women's
much.
intuition for all this shit? Like I said, don't worry, a nigga will wait. Just take your time to answer the question. That's typically how I feel about it. Like, yeah,
Basically, yeah.
take your time to answer the question. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Think about it. I know it's hard for you to do, but think about it. Typically how I feel about that shit.
Right,
Like,
right. But then whatever. But then usually their response is always whatever, whatever. You're just gonna. You're not either they know you well enough to start gaslighting you at that point, or the conversation's just over, because they will go
well, yeah,
nuclear
I don't got no problem with the
if you
conversation
press
being
them. They will
over.
go
Don't try to gaslight
nuclear.
me because I'll hurt your feelings if you try to gaslight me. Like, don't do that. Just like I did in that one video today with that one woman.
I
Well,
don't.
I might be the 0.1%, 0.001% person that might be my luck, and I'll end up with that. Okay, and I said, okay, yeah, that's nice. I believe in Darwinism. Typically, what I told her. Well, what if your mom? Okay, bitch. I don't. Your mom or grandma. I don't care. Hopefully, she does. That way, she can end her life. That way, she doesn't have to live life miserably and have to suffer in life. That's
Uh-huh,
typically how I
uh-huh.
feel about it. So don't try to
Another
come at
thing,
me trying to
yeah.
guilt trip me with my mom or my
Another thing I
grandmother.
noticed with this whole thing too is, like, if somebody's wearing their mask and they ask for hand sanitizer, like, they're not wrong if they're a customer at your store. It's like, in their mind, because they're like, since they're following all the rules, like, that gives them an excuse to be evil to you. And then what it makes me realize is, like, people really think that how they perceive things is the reality. Like,
Yeah,
they're
the
like
sad part about that is not. It's like you're basically just listening to regurgitated shit passed down to the news channels is typically how it works. Like it's all regurgitated shit, and they repeat the same damn lines. Only thing different is they say it different according to the little dialect or their little spot in the United States for the most part. Whereas like in the United States, in the Pittsburgh they'll say yins, and in the South they'll say y'all. It's just shit like that. So it's like one of them things where it's like, yeah, well, yeah, no. It's like they're going to say the same damn thing over and over again. Matter of fact, there's like a millions of YouTube channels where they like literally displayed literally verbatim. Every single news station says the same shit verbatim.
And it's a full screen
Verbatim.
of just like a bunch
Different
of
news
different
channels saying the
local news
same
channels.
shit verbatim
Yeah,
over and fucking
I saw that
over
video
and
too.
fucking over again.
Pretty messed
And
up.
it's like they literally say everything verbatim. Like, so think about that shit before you actually watch your news. If they got a shit, if the same people are saying the same shit in Cleveland that they're saying in Pittsburgh, that they're saying in California, that they're saying in Oregon, that they're saying in Texas, that they're saying in Florida, that they're saying in Arkansas or Utah or Idaho or
Yeah,
all
it's
these
like
fucking places in
they
between.
locked down everything in the country in a matter of a week. The same way. The same
Yeah.
way. By
And the
saying
sad
the
part about
same
that, even
stuff.
when shit is locked down, they all got the same uniformal think. The same NPC think is typically how it works, and it's sad. Like, dude, I'm gonna need you to actually be a grown person and think for yourself, or maybe not follow all directions. Because this is the thing that really pisses me off. Because I hate people that can't take responsibility, especially when it comes to, well, I was just following orders.
That's worse.
Seriously,
Like I get to
seriously.
I get to accept responsibility every day for not following orders. But if I ever try to avoid responsibility because I did something wrong, just doing what someone else said,
Yeah, and the sad
like
part,
yeah, I don't know. That's different. That's
like
not the
I'm
same.
sorry, I have to take responsibility because then I'll feel guilty about the shit. And if I feel guilty about the shit, then I'm not going to be able to be the proper human being that I am. And the sad part about that, I would rather take guilt. I would rather take fault for some shit than actually, say, well, I was just following orders. I would rather
Right.
go
Just
against the grain instead of actually
thus
say I'm following orders.
absolving you of all guilt.
Yeah, like the sad part about that is if a man was to do that, it wouldn't really matter, and he would go to jail either way. If a woman says that shit, well, I was just following orders, she would get a slap on the wrist or nothing at all. Like, and the sad part about that is like I can't
Okay.
think of too many men in the military who said they were following orders that didn't end up in jail, unless they were like some high-ranking people that they kiss a lot of ass to get to where they were, and are sucking a lot of dick to get to where the hell they are, and that's the only way they didn't get a slap on the wrist or any type of recourse against them for the most part. But all the low level guys saying I was just following orders, now they're sitting in jail or they're facing court martials.
Pretty much, like people get court-martialed. Um, I think it's like I would say it's 50-50, like the amount of, or maybe not, maybe more so in the like the opposite direction, but
Well,
people who
women
are
are
just
less likely
following
to get court
orders.
martialed than men are. And the sad part about that, women would go as far as to actually get pregnant so they can't ship out. Or nobody even bats an eye. Nobody even bats an eye.
Right, right. I mean, there's obviously something happening there, but people pretend like it's not
Yeah.
as
It's
malicious
really
as it.
sad. Women would
Yeah.
get pregnant just so they can't ship out. Like, think about that shit. Like, she could be the most feminist woman in the world. She don't want no babies, but the minute she found out she can have a baby and not have to ship out, she'd be the first person talking about jumping on the dick, talking about, yeah, rather have a baby, not no abortions, don't believe in abortion no more, not right now. I want to have this baby, so I want to ship out. And that's typically how it works. A lot of women do this shit on a regular basis. And the sad part about that is women always have a reasoning or some line of way, some line of think, or some line of reasoning for, or some line of go ahead to basically opt out of a lot of shit for the most part. They could say, I'm an independent woman, I can think for myself and this, that, and the other. The minute they get drunk, all of a sudden, I was drunk. I don't know what happened. I can't take responsibility for this because I was drunk. It's
I
just
was
shit like
drunk.
that. Or my
I
favorite
was
one
drunk when
is,
I picked the outfit out.
yeah,
I was
Or like
drunk.
they'll blame the whole entire night on
I was
alcohol
drunk
or
when
drunk.
I.
And like,
Yeah.
wait, so when you actually before you stepped outside and you looked in the mirror, you were drunk? Well, no, I was drunk at the bar. Okay, so when you picked your outfit before you stepped outside,
Well, when you picked
you
your
weren't
outfit,
drunk.
yeah,
But when you
you
actually
weren't drunk.
stepped outside, you were drunk. Like, okay, maybe alcohol's not for you, lady. Like, maybe alcohol's not for you. Thanks, Americus. But it's just stuff like this. It just blows my mind when I hear
What do you
people
say?
say
What do you
stupid
say?
shit like that. He said, "Salute to the panel. Many teachable moments about on female nature."
Nice, nice. Thank you, thank you. Thanks for listening, man. And you know what? I'm just about ready to let everyone go.
Yeah, me too. We had
So
a
we had a good one. We had a good one
yeah,
with this
definitely
one.
had a good one. We got to do these
Uh,
more often. They're actually pretty fun.
yeah, yeah, they're pretty long. Uh, uh, yeah.
We should do these in a mid. We should do these midday more often. That way, we have more time to actually do things, and we're all not sitting there trying to put words together and not be tired and shit like that while we're trying to do it. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of them that are really, really good, really, really good at night, last minute good at night. But like there's some of them where I was like, oh shit, we done fucked up. At that moment, we realized we fucked up.
I was like, it's like I'm looking to my panel brethren to come in and add something, but there's just nobody. Everyone's asleep.
Yeah, literally everybody's asleep or
Everybody's not,
nobody got the
everyone's
message.
looking
Do
at
you
the
realize?
panel.
Wait, this is Baron and Sadist. Nobody else is coming. Nobody else is coming. This is Baron and Sadist.
We're
Damn.
alone. We really
It's
got to
just
stand
us.
by what we say during
Yeah,
this.
literally, we got to
That's
stand
the
on our own
problem.
2 feet, and we got to stand by what we say,
Mhm.
and we got to literally keep it going for the most part. But they're actually pretty good when we actually do.
Keep it going.
Keep it
Keep it going.
going. Yeah, like
Well, you guys have a
there's like two of them. There's two of
good.
them where I actually rewatched all over again. I'm sitting there pulling literally pulling like a Morgan Freeman. It's at this moment, yeah,
you know,
and Yam and Sadist realized they fucked up. It's at this moment he realized they done fucked up.
I need to make so with this new Raspberry Pi, I need to somehow make a function where it reads my mood and it just tells me whether or not I should stream or not. Like
That's funny.
it's just like it's like
Well, no, it's
a
not even
red
that
light
though.
for a red
It's
light
not
for
even.
yes, a
Well,
green
no,
light
because
for
the
no.
sad part about
So
that is I could actually tell you where we actually fucked up in those streams. There was one time
uh,
where you messed up, and the other time I actually messed up. It was actually my fault. I actually dropped the ball in that stream. And there was only one other time where there's only one time where you dropped the ball, but the rest of them were actually really pretty flawless. But the sad part about that, a lot of people say those streams are actually still good for some odd reason, despite the fact when I actually went back to look at it, I was like, oh, we
what's the
fucked up.
dumpster
What the
juice?
fuck, dude? I'm gonna need y'all not to try to pump my ego up because them streams were fucked up.
Just hot dumpster garbage.
Yeah, it was like hot dumpster juice right there. But you're trying to tell me it's good, like, but yeah, it's just stuff like that that just blows my mind. But like, I'll take it though. Like, if we made it as good, then that's all that matters for the most part. But when you go back
Right.
listen to yourself, it's like, oh shit, what the hell was I thinking?
That was bad.
Like,
That was bad. Do not do that again. Do
yeah,
not
please don't do
emulate.
that
Do not
again. Never do
emulate.
that shit again, dude.
Well, yeah, yeah, good, 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 good. Well, yeah, well, let's end this one before it gets
I
before it
know,
gets
right?
out of hand.
Outros.
Outros. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the Bearing Yam channel. Please find the videos and save them because they're kind of dense. Because I'm kind of a dense person sometimes. And just wait till you're in a no Wi-Fi zone, so that way you have a premium time and sound to listen to my programming on my channel, please. It's the optimal environment. The optimal environment is a calm place with a breeze and
Some
sun
lemonade.
optional. Sun optional. Sun optional. Some lemonade. Yeah.
Oh, dang, that's too funny. This is Tika, Trent, aka the Internal Sadist. Thank y'all for coming. Improve yourselves, better yourselves, always work on yourselves, always treat yourselves to the finer things in life. Treat yourselves like milk, do not spoil yourselves. Y'all have a blessed day, be good,
You get
and
a
y'all to check
StreamYard
it.
if you're a content creator.
Yeah,
Treat yourself
get
to the
StreamYard
finer
if you're a
things.
content creator,
Yeah.
and treat yourself definitely, and do what you got to do to grow your channel or do better with yourself. And like this is basically the Baron and Sadist podcast, and we have fun doing these sometimes. Sometimes we do fuck up, but for the most part, we tend to be on point.
For the most part.
For the most part, we tend to be on point for like at least like I would say about 98% of the times we're always on point, but like
We'll fix it.
there's
We'll fix
those
it. If
2%
we
of the
don't,
times where we fuck
if
up.
you
It's like,
notice it, if you
ah.
notice it before we do, that's bad. You know, we'll fix it before usually before it gets out. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes we miss the mark.
Yeah. Oh, what Successful Endeavors actually said it. It's at that moment that Tico and Yam realized they messed up. Typically, but but yeah, we try not to mess up too often, but we tend to actually make it flow pretty nicely, and it's pretty nice. I like it. I enjoy it. But hit the like button if you're new to this channel. Subscribe. Go check out Baron Yam's channel. Yeah, go check out Baron Yam's channel too. He makes some pretty good content. He's like the
I'll let you know. There's not much that there on the surface. That's all
I ain't gonna say all that.
Going.
Well, no, he does a lot
Just
more
gonna say that.
esoteric stuff most of the times, and he does a lot more, go with the flow type. He does a lot more esoteric or go with the flow, or depending on how he's feeling, he does like
It's a
esoteric
handheld.
stuff,
A lot
or
of
he
the
does
stuff.
the
A
go with
lot
the
of the
flow
stuff that
type
isn't
thing, or he
gaming.
basically talks about life basically, and
Yeah, a lot of the
life
stuff that isn't
relationships
gaming
and how
is,
life actually works.
yeah. It's very off the cuff. It's very handheld. So there's not there's not you're not gonna feel very I guess professionally marketed catered to. It's gonna be definitely from my viewpoint.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Well, the sad part about that, there's a lot of red pill
forewarning.
content creators that actually film that same way too, so don't feel bad.
Exactly.
Sydney McTell's one
We're
of
all
them.
we're
Sydney
all alike.
McTell's one of them.
We're all the
Young
same.
man,
No.
not young man's. What's it called? The guy, the red pill guy in a car, basically. He's another one of them. And then like there's a lot of people that film like that. So don't feel bad about how you film.
No, I don't. No, I'm just I know what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you
Especially
guys
in this
want
day and
that
age, you
kind of
just
stuff,
need to
go
you just need to
go to
figure
like
out when you
Jaguar
actually got the
Media.
time to actually stream and shit like that, or do a video anymore these days because shit's just going on.
Everything is logistics. That's all I'm gonna that's pretty much like what it is. It's just figuring out when you have time and how you're gonna do it.
Yeah, or when you're going to do it, or how can you execute it and not fuck up and have to redo it all over again. Take one. Action.
Lights up. Sound. Roll sound.
Right, roll sound. But
right,
yeah,
bye, guys.
that niggas bye. Hey, y'all have a good night.
Later.
Have a good one later, guys. Thanks for watching. Definitely.